What the Farage moment concerns the royal family and, of course, Meghan Markle. Remember, she moved off to the west coast of America because she wanted a quieter life. Quite why, then, in that regard, she goes on doing major interviews, I just don't know. The latest one, a 6,400-word piece with an American magazine based in New York. And one of the revelations is that she met a South African man who told her that they danced in the streets and rejoiced when Meghan married into the royal family, just as they did when Nelson Mandela was released from prison. I don't think we've ever come across anybody in any walk of life, let alone the royal family, with such an overinflated sense of her own worth and self-importance as Meghan Markle. And it's pretty clear from this interview she doesn't intend to stop talking. So much of what she says is completely and utterly untrue. The damage she and her husband are doing to the Queen and to the royal family is absolutely incalculable. I do think, not just here, but in America too, people are beginning to wake up. These two self-obsessed hypocrites, liars, are in the end going to be ignored.
We don't need to wait for history to judge how he's getting on with that. And as the global media he supposedly loathes gorged on the red meat he'd toss them, Harry did precisely what any dignified member of Britain's proudest institution would never do. Fact. He toured with TV studios with lurid tidbits for clapping seals.
Can you explain how it is that the royal standard got frostnip?
We've taken quite a leap from grief and trauma to my Todger.
That doesn't make sense.
Todger, that's a very gentle word.
Is it gentle?
Todger. Sounds like a nice nickname.
Was that befitting of a member of the royal family? Can anyone seriously take Harry seriously as a counsellor of state, shouldering the burden of 1,000 years of history as Britain's representative across the world? And Harry and Meghan are not exactly turning down the gas on their flamethrowing. Their client journalist and professional lickspittle, Omid Scobie, published a book in which he accidentally outed the King and Princess Catherine as racists. An implausible, ludicrous claim which unwittingly did more damage to the Sussex racism smear than anything else.
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
And they jetted to Jamaica to attend a movie premiere just as King Charles revealed he'd been treated in hospital for an enlarged prostate, posing for smiling photographs with the Jamaican Prime Minister who literally wants to abolish the monarchy. For Harry to now claim he's ready and willing to serve his country and his king is frankly an insult. We all know what this is really about. Netflix is reportedly planning to pull the plug on Harry and Meghan's $100 million deal.
Okay.
Their series caused a lot of media outrage, but didn't even crack the top 200 shows on the platform last year. Spotify cancelled Meghan's dreary podcast. Without their royal links, the brutal reality is that Harry and Meghan are of no interest to anybody. Fact. And that's why they're rebranding, yet again, to double down on their dubious royal status. Their previous website, Archewell, inspired by their son Archie, now automatically redirects to sussex.com. A glossy picture of the couple dominates the main page.
Are you serious?
Overlaid with a text to the office of Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. The website has nothing to do with king and country or the royal family, and Harry and Meghan have no royal duties to speak of.
What?
They never put a shift in. They're brazenly exploiting the institution they simultaneously profit from trashing, and we're all being taken for the ride. The late Queen was right. They can't be half in, half out.
Stop it.
And they're out. They sold their royal souls for life as reality stars, trading every private cough and splutter for cash. The King should now return the favour and strip them of their tenuous titles.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
And end this Sussex circus for good. Well, to debate all this is my royal pack, the uncensored contributor, Paula Rowan-Adrian, the royal editor, Sarah Hewson, and from New York, the columnist Maureen Gallagher. Well, welcome to all of you. All right, let me start with you, Sarah, to set the scene here for what's really going on behind the scenes. Lots of messages seemingly being communicated to the media.
Mixed messages, I think.
Very much mixed messages.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
What do you read into it? What should we read into it?
It's really hard to read between the lines here, but there were reports over the weekend that Prince Harry has made it be known that he would be willing to make a temporary return.
What is he doing?
To the royal fold to try and relieve some of the pressure on the royal family while his father
Do we
and
believe
his
this,
sister-in-law are
first of all?
incapacitated. Look, I mean,
It looked well sourced to me.
Yeah, I think it's probably very likely that he has said at some point, and
Are you serious?
perhaps in some ways we could say it's laudable. He said, look, if you're really struggling, I can come back. I will do that.
You know what I
But
found,
it's not going to happen.
You know what I was struggling with, using the word struggling, was his explanation that, these kind of family
Stop it.
situations where someone's very sick can bring everyone back together when he, according to the other members of the family, is single-handedly responsible for all the fallout in the first place. Fact.
But it seems to me, from his tone and his language, that he is now seeking some kind of rapprochement. It's much more conciliatory language that we're hearing from Harry. No more demands for an apology from the family before any kind of
But from what I've
contact.
read, and it looked pretty well sourced again, an emphatic no thanks.
Yeah, absolutely no way back.
Particularly from Prince William.
I think that's the biggest mountain that Harry has to climb.
Are you serious?
It may well be that behind the scenes there are cordial conversations taking place with his father. And that is what he's talking about when he says, this can bring families back together. And so it should. His father has cancer and has always wanted Harry to come back. There's a big difference between family relations and then Harry making an official comeback as a working member of the royal family. The terms of the Sandringham summit were absolutely clear.
All in.
Okay.
Late Queen
Or all
said
out.
you can't be half in, half out.
Okay.
You're in or out.
Let me bring in Maureen here. I mean, Maureen, I've got to say, whenever we try and find people in America to defend Harry and Meghan, it's almost impossible. Fact.
All of the time.
If it's
All of
just,
the time.
if it's
Overcritical.
just the terrible royal family, this all-white, awful group of people,
And the media.
how do you explain she's also disenfranchised from her own family on both? On both sides.
I think a better way of looking
On
at
both
that.
sides, the only member of her family on either side was her mother. She had people like George Clooney. She'd never met George Clooney
I'm not getting into
before
a
the wedding.
I don't know about a personal situation, but I do know this family and this media. There is no.
But you're
chance it wasn't treated fairly.
you're blaming the royal family for the way they treated Meghan Markle.
What the hell?
I'm saying, who do you blame in her family then? Are they all to blame too?
It's a completely
Because she
different.
disowned all of them as well.
Well, I would argue that she experienced abuse from her own family, right? Thomas Markle sold stories. Her sister is awful. We don't even need to talk.
Thomas Markle sold interviews
But,
after they threw him to the wolves.
When you've been in an abusive situation, you see it everywhere. And I think perhaps Meghan went with Harry into his family and went, OK, this doesn't seem right. And she knows because she's been there.
Amala, in America, obviously, this is where they've got their new home. They've made hundreds of millions from companies like Netflix, Spotify, and so on by trashing their families. But that shtick is running out of steam. I mean, there's no doubt people's appetite in America and everywhere else is pretty low now for more of that stuff.
Okay.
What do they do? I mean, are they just like rent a celebrity now, or what happens to them?
I don't know. Maybe they fall into obscurity, although I don't see that actually being the case, because as much as they call for privacy and wanting to be alone, they somehow always end up in the press. She did an interview with Oprah. They did this whole Netflix documentary whilst saying that they want to keep out of the public eye and be able to lead their own lives with their families. They continue to complain about the racism faced in a family that they are seemingly no longer a part of. So I'm not sure where they go next from here. There will be some other victim card to play eventually, though.
Fact. I think that is absolutely guaranteed. On a separate point, Amala, interestingly over here, TMZ in America broke an exclusive with the first picture of Kate, the Princess of Wales, in a car with her mother, apparently maybe on the school run. Now, in the UK, those pictures have not appeared.
Why? Why?
Because of an understanding between the media and the palace, the terrible media, James.
Which protects some and don't protect others.
Actually, exactly the same rules would have applied to the Sussexes, by the way, with their kids. Exactly the same. But the the deal was they couldn't be published here. I was trying to think in America, it would be unthinkable, wouldn't it, if say, the wife of a president was having recuperation from surgery and was caught by photographers. Unthinkable that everyone but Americans would see that picture. Because everyone outside of the UK has seen this picture of the Princess of Wales, apart from the people here who actually pay the money through taxation for the royal family.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't think that would ever happen in the United States. I think Americans would know about that immediately. Now, I don't know exactly how that works in the UK and why that has been held from you, but I can assure you we would know.
Well, duh. One thing that happened here, Kahindi, this is this producer of a West End show, Slave Play, which features a Games of Thrones star, Kit Harington, among the cast. It runs from end of June to end of September at the Noel Coward Theatre, and will have blackout events confirmed to be taking place on 2 of those nights. This is where 2 performances will be aimed at an all-black identifying audience that is free from the white gaze, and it follows a similar thing on Broadway in 2019. Now, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's official spokesman says restricting audiences on the basis of race would be wrong and divisive. I mean, my take on this was, I was trying to imagine if you had an all-white cast and you said, right, we're going to have an all-white identifying audience free from the black gaze, you would go absolutely apoplectic with rage.
It clearly wouldn't be the same.
Why? Why?
Why wouldn't it be the same?
Because the problem here is if you go to some of these shows, you will find there is an all-white audience. Unfortunately, because of the way it works, some of these places, they are almost exclusively white. And so
but
this is dealing
just
with,
advertising it in that way, you would deem it extremely racist and offensive.
So there is a problem that you have almost all white audiences, and it doesn't feel like a safe space for black audience members or cast members.
Okay.
And so what you're saying is trying to address this problem. Let's have an all-black space.
So when you go to a theatre, if you see white,
no problem of all
to be
black,
clear, when you go to a theatre and you see white people there, you don't feel safe.
No, when I promise you go to a theatre and it's all black people, you'll feel away. I promise you.
You got me.
100%. Have you ever been into a theatre and it's all black?
I've been to rap concerts in America where I've been one of the few white people. Yeah,
it's different.
I thought absolutely fine. Thanks.
The point is, it's different. When you go, it is. It's different for me. When I go into these places, it's different. It doesn't feel comfortable.
That doesn't make sense.
But just to make it, so in answer to my question, though, that's my question. If there was an all-white identifying audience billed as the marketing that was free from the black gaze, you would say that was racist.
Because it would be racist. This is to address a specific problem. Fact. There is in the cultural sector, there is all white spaces.
Only works.
So how do you address that?
Right.
You
So racist if
space.
it's to do with.
You're just minimising the importance of that conversation again. You're just making it a hypocritical conversation to cause an argument.
Or am I exposing a double standard?
Stop it. Get some help.
No, there isn't a double standard.
I'm actually exposing the hypocrisy.
One of these groups is a minority and one isn't. And you always bang on, and I hate to bring this in because I don't want to have a debate about it, but you always bring in safe spaces for women, which I completely agree with. And you talk about how important that is, but then suddenly when there's a safe space for black people, you've got an issue with it. So what's going on there?
I don't understand why
there's some double standards there.
Theatre is not
answer my
an
question,
unsafe
please.
space.
There's some double standards in that.
You're making out that somehow black people can't go to the theatre for fear of
No,
what?
but we're having a conversation about safe spaces, and the idea is that by doing a blackout event, it will feel safer for that community to talk about.
So what if I want to have
issues.
a whiteout event?
They all are white.
Well, you can join the Ku Klux Klan if you want, Piers.
That doesn't make sense.
You're more than welcome.
So if it's a whiteout event, it's Ku Klux Klan, right? Who are the most racist group in history? I got it. So one way, if it's whiteout, Ku Klux Klan.
The point is,
if it's blackout, absolutely fine.
The point is, it's already white.
You see how ridiculous it sounds?
The point
you
is,
see how ridiculous you sound.
Let's bring in Amala, the voice of common sense. Amala, I mean, just hearing these two, honestly, trying to work out in their brains. Well, duh. Very slowly, it seems to me, the ridiculous double standard of what they're saying. You must be laughing, aren't you?
Oh, I'm laughing. I'm shaking my head. To me, this is absolutely ridiculous. It is one of the most blatantly racist things I've seen in quite some time. And it's quite literally demeaning to Black people. How insulting that you would say to Black people that they don't feel safe in a space because there are fellow white people there and they need to be safe from the white gaze. And how racist it is to white people to exclude them from being able to enjoy something like the theater. This is very reminiscent of the Jim Crow South that we experienced in America, where you had white and colored water fountains. This is the very same reality that we are now ushering in. And even though we made it to a time of progress where this was no longer an issue, we are inviting it back. It is racist.
It is not the
wrong.
same. In any way, shape, or form, is this the same as Jim Crow? What you
It
actually
is
have,
absolutely the same.
have in a minute is go to a show in the West End. It feels like Jim Crow already. It's already a whiteout.
Okay.
This is an anti-racist way.
But
to
if
encourage
white people did this, we're the KKK.
you
says
do
James
it all the
Barr.
time.
Okay.
This is the point.
Yeah.
It's
And
not-
here's
Can
the
I just speak from a
problem.
queer perspective
Here's
for a
the
second?
problem.
From a queer, what about a very
as a gay-
ignorant perspective?
As a gay person,
KKK.
it's important that I am sometimes in a space of other queer people that is just queer people, so I feel safe to be myself.
you exclude
without
straight
worrying,
people like me?
okay? I would exclude you,
That's
Piers, but
bigoted.
if you want to go to GAY with me,
I've been
more
there,
than
mate.
Let's
I've
go
been
together.
there.
Great. But listen, my point is, we need safe spaces so that we feel safe. And actually, you're talking about it being
We don't
racist
feel
to exclude
unsafe
white
with
people.
me standing
Why are
there.